Glory stood outside her mother's bedroom door, her hand frozen on the handle. Inside, she could hear voices. Her mother's weak, raspy voice, and the voice of Mr. Adeyemi, the family lawyer. "So you are leaving everything to Grace?" Mr. Adeyemi asked. "The house, the businesses, the accounts, everything?" "Yes," her mother whispered. "Everything goes to her. Glory gets nothing." Glory's heart stopped. Grace? Who the hell was Grace? She had spent the last year of her life taking care of her sick mother, cooking, cleaning, bathing her, changing her bedpans, sacrificing everything. And now her mother was giving away the entire fortune to a stranger. This is the story of two sisters, twins who never knew each other existed. One was loved and one was hated. One was kind, one became a killer, and only one of them would survive. Glory's life had never been easy. Her mother, Mrs. Adaeze Okafor, was a successful fashion designer, one of the biggest names in Lagos. She owned a clothing line that sold in Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa, everywhere. She was rich, powerful, respected. But as a mother, she was cold. Glory grew up in that big mansion in Banana Island, but it never felt like home. Her mother barely looked at her, barely spoke to her, and when she did speak, it was always to criticize. "Glory, why are you so lazy? Glory, why can't you be more like the other children? Glory, you're a disappointment." No matter what Glory did, it was never enough. When she was in secondary school, she wanted to study music. She loved music. She loved DJing. She would spend hours in her room practicing, mixing beats, creating sounds. But her mother hated it. "Music? You want to be a DJ? Are you mad?" her mother shouted. "You think I worked this hard so my daughter could play music at parties? No! You'll study business. You'll take over my company." But Glory didn't want to take over the company. She wanted to follow her passion. So when she turned 18, she moved out, got her own small apartment in Lekki, started doing DJ gigs at clubs and parties. It didn't go well. She wasn't popular. She barely made money. Most nights, she would come home broken, tired, and ashamed. But she refused to go back to her mother and admit she was wrong. Then, a year ago, everything changed. Her mother got sick. Cancer, stage 4. The doctor said she had less than 2 years to live. Her mother called Glory and asked her to come back home. "I need you," her mother said weakly over the phone. "Please, come and take care of me." Glory hesitated. This was the woman who had made her life miserable, the woman who told her she was worthless. But she was still her mother. So Glory came back. She moved into the mansion. She became her mother's full-time caregiver. She cooked her meals. She helped her bathe. She gave her medicine. She sat by her bedside every night for 1 full year. And in that year, her mother never once said thank you. Never once said I love you. Never once said I'm proud of you. Glory told herself it didn't matter, that when her mother died, everything would be hers. The house, the business, the money. She would finally be free. But now, standing outside that door, listening to her mother give everything to someone named Grace, Glory realized the truth. Her mother never loved her, and she never would. 2 weeks later, her mother died. The funeral was big, expensive, full of people who didn't really care but wanted to be seen. Glory stood by the coffin, dry-eyed. She had no more tears left. After the funeral, Mr. Adeyemi, the lawyer, read the will in front of the entire family. To my daughter Glory, I leave the sum of 1 million naira. Glory's mouth fell open. 1 million naira? That was nothing. Her mother's estate was worth billions. Mr. Adeyemi continued, the rest of my estate, including my properties, my business, and all my assets, I leave to my daughter, Grace Okofo. The room exploded with whispers. Grace? Who is Grace? Does Adaeze have another daughter? Glory stood up shaking. This is a mistake. There's no Grace. I'm her only daughter. Mr. Adeyemi looked at her calmly. I'm sorry, Glory, but your mother was very clear. Grace is your twin sister. Glory felt like the ground had disappeared beneath her. Twin sister? That's impossible, she whispered. But Mr. Adeyemi handed her an envelope. Your mother left this for you. She said you would understand after you read it. Glory went back to the mansion and opened the letter with trembling hands. It was written in her mother's handwriting. Dear Glory, by the time you read this, I'll be gone. And I know you're angry. You think I'm being unfair. But let me tell you the truth. When I was 17, I got pregnant. The father was a boy from my village named Chukudi. We were young and stupid. I had twins, you and Grace. I wanted to leave the village and go to Lagos to become a fashion designer. But Chukudi didn't support me. He said I was abandoning my responsibilities. We fought. And in the end, he took one of you. He took Grace. I came to Lagos with you. I built my life. I became successful. But I never forgot Grace. When she turned 18, she found me. We reconnected. And I realized something. She was everything I wanted you to be. Talented, hardworking, passionate. She became a fashion designer, just like me. But you were a disappointment, a failure. That's why I'm leaving everything to her, because she deserves it. Goodbye, Glory. Glory dropped the letter. Her hands were shaking so badly she couldn't hold it. Her mother had another daughter, a twin, and she chose her. She chose Grace over her. For days, Glory couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, couldn't think. All she could feel was rage. She had given up her life to take care of her mother. She had sacrificed everything. And for what? To be replaced by a sister she didn't even know existed? No, she wasn't going to let this happen. Glory hired a private detective named Mr. Victor. She paid him 200,000 naira to find Grace. It took him 1 week. I found her, Mr. Victor said, handing Glory a folder. She lives in a small town in Enugu State. She runs a local fashion business. She's very talented. Rising star, actually. Glory opened the folder and stared at the pictures. She looked nothing like Grace, but they had the same body size and complexion. In the pictures, Grace was smiling, happy, surrounded by friends and customers who loved her. Everything Glory wasn't. The rage inside her grew hotter. Thank you, Mr. Victor, Glory said coldly. I'll take it from here. Glory called Grace that same evening. Her hand was shaking as she dialed the number. Grace answered on the third ring. Hello? Hearing her voice, the voice that sounded exactly like hers, made Glory want to scream. But she forced herself to smile, to sound happy. Hi, Grace? This is Glory, your twin sister. There was a long silence on the other end. Glory? Grace's voice was soft, shocked. Is this real? Are you really my sister? Yes, Glory said, her voice sweet as honey. I just found out about you. Mama told me before she got really sick. Grace gasped. Mama? She's sick? How is she? Glory paused. Her mother had been dead for 2 weeks, but Grace didn't know that. She's not doing well, Glory lied. The doctors say she doesn't have much time left, but she's been asking for you. She wants to see you before she... Grace started crying. I'll come. I'll come right away. Tomorrow, I'll take the first bus to Lagos. Thank you, Glory said softly. She'll be so happy to see you. She hung up the phone and smiled. A cold, dead smile. Grace arrived in Lagos the next evening. Glory was waiting for her at the mansion. She had prepared everything. The perfect welcome. The perfect trap. When Grace stepped out of the taxi, Glory's breath caught in her throat. Grace ran toward her, tears streaming down her face. Glory, oh my God, I can't believe it's you. She hugged Glory tightly. Glory stood there, stiff, her arms barely moving. Where's Mama? Grace asked, looking around. Can I see her? She's resting, Glory said smoothly. She's very weak. The doctor said she needs to sleep. But you can see her in the morning. Grace nodded, wiping her tears. Okay, I'm just so happy to finally meet you. I've always wondered what it would be like to have a sister. Glory forced a smile. Me too. They sat in the living room and Glory offered Grace a drink. Fruit juice, cold, refreshing. You must be tired from the journey. Drink this. It will help. Grace drank it gratefully. She didn't notice the way Glory watched her coldly. They talked for an hour. Grace told stories about growing up in the village with their father, about how their mother had secretly sent her money and gifts over the years, about how she had always dreamed of meeting Glory. Glory listened, her face blank. I'm so sorry Mama treated you badly. That's not fair. You're her daughter too. It's fine, Glory said coldly. It doesn't matter anymore. I'm so tired. Do you mind if I go to bed? Of course. Your room is upstairs, second door on the left. Grace hugged her again. Thank you, sister. I'm so happy I found you. Glory reluctantly hugged her. The next morning, Grace woke up early. The sun was shining. The mansion was beautiful. She decided to go for a swim in the pool. She didn't know that Glory had been waiting for this moment. Grace dove into the water, her body cutting through the surface smoothly. But something was wrong. Her arms felt heavy. Her legs wouldn't move properly. The pills from last night were still in her system, making her drowsy, slow. She tried to swing to the edge of the pool, but her body wasn't responding. Panic set in. She opened her mouth to scream, but water rushed in. She was drowning. Glory stood at the window, watching. She could have called for help. She could have jumped in. She could have saved her. But she didn't. She just watched and waited. When the housemaid found Grace's body floating in the pool an hour later, she screamed. The police came, the paramedics came. Glory stood in the living room crying fake tears. "I don't know what happened. She said she was going for a swim. I didn't know." The police investigated. They ruled it an accident, drowning, probably due to exhaustion from traveling. No one suspected Glory. She was the grieving sister who had just lost her twin. A week later, Glory went to Mr. Adeyemi's office to claim her inheritance. "Now that Grace is dead, everything comes to me, right?" she said confidently. Mr. Adeyemi frowned. "Well, we need to verify your relationship first. Just a formality. We'll do a DNA test to confirm that you and Grace were indeed twins." Glory's heart skipped a beat. "A DNA test? Why? I'm her twin. You can see it." "It's standard procedure," Mr. Adeyemi said calmly. "Don't worry, it will only take a few days." 3 days later, Mr. Adeyemi called Glory into his office. His face was serious. "Glory, we have a problem." "What problem?" she asked nervously. "The DNA test came back. You and the woman who drowned, you are not related, not twins, not even distant relatives." Glory felt the world tilt. "That's impossible," she whispered. "We are twins." "I don't know who that woman was, but she was definitely not your twin sister." Glory's vision blurred. Her chest tightened. She was suffering a seizure. She collapsed. Glory woke up in a hospital bed. Her head was pounding. Her body felt weak. She opened her eyes slowly, trying to remember what happened. And then she saw them. 2 people sitting by her bedside. Mr. Victor, the detective she had hired, and the woman who looked exactly like her. Glory's breath caught in her throat. "Hello, sister," the woman said, smiling. It was Grace, the real Grace. Glory tried to scream, but her throat was too dry. No sound came out. Mr. Victor leaned forward. "You thought you were so smart, didn't you, Glory? You thought you could kill Grace and take everything." Grace smiled. "But you see, Mr. Victor is my friend. When you hired him to find me, he told me everything. Your plan, your lies, everything." Glory's eyes widened in horror. "So we came up with our own plan. We hired a woman who vaguely looked like you, paid her 500,000 naira to pretend to be me, your fraternal twin sister. She was supposed to just play along, take the money, and leave." Grace's smile faded. "But you killed her. You actually killed her." "We didn't expect that," Mr. Victor said. "We thought you just tried to trick her or scare her off. But you drowned her. You're a murderer, Glory." Glory tried to move, but her body wouldn't respond. She felt heavy, paralyzed. "Don't bother trying to scream," Grace said. "No one's coming to disturb us for a long while." She reached over and picked up Glory's IV drip bag. From her pocket, she pulled out a small syringe filled with clear liquid. "You know what's funny?" Grace said, injecting the liquid into the IV bag. "Mama always said you were the weak one, the failure, and she was right." Glory's eyes filled with tears. She tried to shake her head, tried to beg, tried to say something, but nothing came out. The liquid from the IV drip slowly entered her bloodstream. Her vision started to blur. Her breathing became shallow. Grace leaned close to her ear and whispered, "Goodbye, sister." Glory's heart stopped at 3:47 p.m. The official cause of death was listed as complications from extreme shock and stress. No one suspected foul play. No one questioned Grace. A year later, Grace stood on stage at Lagos Fashion Week. She was wearing one of her own designs, a stunning dress that shimmered under the lights. The crowd applauded as she accepted the Rising Designer of the Year award. "This award is dedicated to my loving sister and my mother," Grace said into the microphone, her voice strong and clear. "She taught me that success comes to those who are willing to do whatever it takes." The crowd cheered. Grace smiled. She had everything now: the mansion, the business, the money, the fame. Everything her mother had wanted. Everything Glory had tried to steal. Poor, foolish Glory, who thought she could win by being cruel. But cruelty is only powerful when you're smart enough to hide it. And Glory was never that smart. Grace was. When you try to destroy someone, you better make sure they don't see you coming. Because sometimes the person you're trying to kill is 10 steps ahead of you, and by the time you realize it, it's already too late.